Welcome everybody back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. I'm your host Matty V, and this is Matty's Garage. Today we are doing canyon carving, which is a way that we test vehicles for their enjoyment and spirited driving. Now this is a 2019 Ford Raptor. Not really built for canyon carving, but that's okay. We still want to see what it's like to live with this thing anyway. So join us as we go and test the 2019 Ford Raptor in the canyon carving. So what do we got here? We have a 3.5 liter twin turbocharged 24 valve dual overhead cam ecoboost motor producing 450 horsepower at about 6,000 RPM, redline 6,300, and 510 pound-feet of torque around 3,500 RPM. So not super low. There's a little turbo lag band area at the bottom of the range. But I mean, this car really moves. This truck really moves, I should say. It's 5,800 plus pounds, and so this motor is working hard to move this vehicle around, but it is fast. I mean, it goes. We tested 0 to 60 at 6.3 seconds. We're at 4,500 feet above sea level, so maybe you get a little faster times if you're at sea level. But regardless, we're going to see how this thing feels in the canyon. So today we're heading up Little Cottonwood Canyon here, Salt Lake City, Utah. I'll give you the stats. I gotta look it up and learn how far it is top to bottom, and then how many turns are in this canyon. How this thing feels. So we'll set off. Yeah, in sport mode you can line up the rear tires. I don't know if this thing can go fast in 4 auto. Do you guys know? Maybe I'll just try 4x4 shift. So that's 2 high, 4 auto, 4 high, and 4 low. That feels very much like 4 high. I'm gonna go back into 2 high, because that feels like, you know how 4-wheel drive feels when the steering wheel is tugging around a little bit. We'll go back into 2-wheel drive. So there's also paddle shifters here, which are awesome. Let's put this thing down. 10-speed automatic transmission that you can manually shift with the paddle shifters. We're in manual 3 here. The shifts are not super quick, but I do love that they have these huge paddle shifters that are attached to the steering wheel, and they're positioned just perfectly here for your fingers to reach out and use them. Coming in manual 4 here, down to manual 3, 4,000 RPMs, kind of coming around the corner here, put a little gas in. I mean, the body, the truck rolls a lot, because on these beautiful Fox shocks, which are adjusting themselves every 40 milliseconds and sensing the road and the road conditions. We are in sport mode, so it's the stiffest setting of the shock, but they're also, you know, it's 11.5 inches of ground clearance in this bad boy. So, and all that weight up high is going to lean back and forth on the corners, but it still feels really sporty. Actually, the steering has 3 different settings: sport, comfort, and normal. We're in the sport setting, and it's actually super direct. It feels like the wheels are responding very quickly to the inputs, and I love how it feels. It feels like, I'm not sure if it's a linear where it kind of loads up the more you push it. It kind of feels like it is actually. It gets a little bit firmer the more you push into the steering. I mean, we're not doing anything wild or crazy here, obviously, in a 5,800 pound truck on, you know, on a canyon road, but it is actually pretty dang fun to drive in this condition here. Let this guy go, give ourselves a little bit of room here. The other beauty about this truck is you can just pull right off onto this dirt and it soaks up those bumps. No big deal at all. So we'll let the road clear out a little bit. We're in manual 1. If I push into the throttle, I do not like the way this 10-speed shifts. It's kind of a little clunky. I don't know if it's just this particular unit needs to be serviced or if this is just normally how it feels, but it's not very smooth. Yeah, all that horsepower comes in later in the RPMs. The sound of this vehicle is not fantastic. I mean, this is a well-documented situation with this car. I mean, it doesn't not sound like anything. You can hear some exhaust back there, but it definitely doesn't sound like the V8. I had the Gen 1 6.2 liter V8 that had a gurgle, a throaty gurgle that just made you giggle. This sounds like a leaf blower. The shifts, man, if you're on a little bit of gas and then you shift it, it struggles a little bit coming in. So these are the fun corners here. I didn't count these corners, but these are turns, probably like 10 and 11. Those are fun because they're flat and kind of lean into them a little bit. Yeah, this is fun. For a truck. Kind of unwind it here. And we are on the Tacoma. So, impressions of canyon spirited driving in the Raptor. It's actually fun. I've been up and down this canyon in some pretty fun cars. M2, F-Pace SVR, Golf R, GTI, and obviously this doesn't feel like those kind of cars where you sit really low to the ground and they're very flat on their turns, but this is leaning and probably can slide it a little bit, but it's fun. It puts a smile on your face. We are, I'm sure, sucking down the fuel. It's just powerful too. Like, you feel like you got plenty of power anytime you need it. Oh, interesting. Huh. So you know how you can go into manual mode, even though it's in the drive mode, you can go into manual mode by hitting the paddle. Oh wow, it's weird. It counts down from 10 with the every time I click the paddle, even though it's not shifting the gear. So it shows 10 to 1 over here, and I'm clicking the paddle shifter. It goes 10, 9, 8, 7, but I'm still in gear 4. That's bizarre. So if you want to use the paddle shifters, make sure you're in the manual mode over here. Okay, this is a fun little corner here. Coming around. Yeah, the shifts are just not satisfying at all. And I'm feeling the brakes aren't going to be great on the way down. I've been driving this around for a couple days and haven't been too impressed with the brakes either. Probably going to give this guy a little bit of time here. See if we can get a little bit of room between us. It is a November day and it's starting to get cold. We're getting some snow up here on the ground. Okay. So kind of just lean into it into manual 2. To red line. Yeah, the shifts at the top are actually pretty good. I mean, it just pulls. It is fun, and it feels so planted. Like I can't get over. It's on 35-inch all-terrain, like really aggressive all-terrain tires, 17-inch wheels, a huge sidewall, and so it feels like it's squishy and soft, but it feels like it's connected and planted. And the steering, man, it is really good. I'm really impressed. You know, I have a 4xe Rubicon. The steering in that is awful. In fact, it's in the shop right now to get the steering fixed because the steering stabilizer went out, even though it's brand new. Well, that's 14,000 miles on it, but it's starting to death wobble. Okay, there's the parking lot for 5-for-1. Oh man, this thing! Wow, I'm impressed with carving the canyon in the 2019 Ford Raptor. The cool thing about this is you don't have to go crazy speeds in order to have fun, which was which has been an issue in some of the cars I've had over the years, where all the fun comes when you're breaking the law. I really value being able to have fun in the limits of the law. I don't know, maybe I'm just getting old. I'm sure, you know, part of the fun is breaking the law for some people out there, and I've been there in the past, you know. I'm sure I'm out of the, what do you call it, statute of limitations, so don't worry about it. But, wow. Some M2 down there. Nice. Yeah, I could cruise this canyon in this car. I'm going to turn on the cooled seats because I'm getting a little... Speaking of the seats, they don't hold you in very well. They're comfortable and compliant, but the bottom cushion is very flat. It doesn't have any bolstering on the side, so you slide around. It has a little bit of bolstering you can see over here, but not much. The side bolsters are nice, but for me, there's really no support from the seat. I'm just using my core muscles to stay planted on the driving position. The steering wheel is awesome. For those of you that have seen my other lake lap video for this vehicle, I love this steering wheel. I just love the way it feels in my hands. You know, there's beautiful thumb pad, beautiful finger divot here where you can hold comfortably. The perforated leather is just perfect on the hold zone, and then the gorgeous leather wrapped on the other parts with the red center stripe. Awesome. This little center area, a little bit chintzy looking. The Raptor logo is cool down here, but there's some chintzy plastics on here. I don't know if they can upgrade this somehow, but the way the steering wheel feels in my hand, I love it. The way it looks is okay. So as we come to the close, the top of the canyon here, we're coming into Alta, the city of Alta, which has a speed limit of 25 miles an hour, so we're dropping our velocity down into that range. What are my final thoughts on driving the Raptor up the canyon? I'm just going to sum it up in one word. Wow. I really love driving this thing up the canyon. I think the main takeaway for me is having fun within the legal limits. It's just like a big toy. It's like a big toy truck. You can push around the corners. It's going to comply. You don't want to get too wild or over your skis. But, man, that's a fun canyon carver. There's the Alta police hanging out. They're always out of the Tacoma looking for speeders. So here we are, top of Little Cottonwood Canyon. For those who have been here, you know this is a beautiful area. Albion Basin up here. One of my absolute favorite parts about doing the Matty Garage car channel is I get to drive all these cars up this canyon. It's a wonderful driving canyon, even at speeds at the speed limit. It's super enjoyable. It's very beautiful, and the way the corners are laid out, there aren't a lot of blind corners, which is nice. There's a few, but for the most part, you can see really clearly around with safety. And you know, the shoulder is fairly wide most of the canyon because there's a lot of bikers that come up and down the canyon, so watch out for them. So as we wrap this up here at the top of the canyon, I want to thank you all for joining us for another canyon carve here on Matty's Garage. Very, very impressed with this vehicle for what it is and how it feels in the canyon. I gotta say, it's actually surpassed my expectation. And combine that with earlier situation today where off-road, this thing was an absolute beast, absolute dream. And then on-road, drivability, cruising around, it's not bad. So an overall package here in this vehicle is actually quite stellar. And it's easy to see why these are so popular. They are massive. They're absurdly big. Huge wide stance, huge wheelbase. They get fairly decent fuel economy. You know, I was about 19.5 on the freeway, and now after driving up the canyon, we are down to 15.1. So yeah, we sucked a lot of gas out coming up the canyon there. But as always, as we come into our final view here, looking back down the canyon, I want to just encourage everybody to get out, enjoy life, do what you love. If you love driving cars up canyons, this is a canyon that you might want to check out. He loves skiing, hiking, being out in the great outdoors. It's a beautiful canyon for all that too. So thanks for tuning in. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe if you like videos like this. We're gonna have a lot more vehicles coming to you with the Canyon Carb and the Lake Lap, so we can kind of put them through their paces and see what we think. All right, peace.